Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Bridgewater State University. It's a pleasure to have you here and to host this conference in regards to Handle with Care. I have the distinct privilege of introducing the president of Bridgewater State University, who's had a 40-year relationship with this institution as a graduate. Is it longer than 40? It's actually longer than 40. It's 40 years. Okay, so 40 years. He's so young, it couldn't have been longer than 40 years. But came to Bridgewater State University, loved this institution, loved what it's done, and has participated in so many different ways, ultimately leading him to become the president of this wonderful university here in southeastern Massachusetts. So with that, I would like you all to give a warm welcome to President Fred Clark.
Thank you very much, Vinny. I'll be very brief, but I want to thank Vinny for his leadership. Vinny is a retired state senator. He was in the legislature for 20 years. He describes himself as a recovering politician, but he's been extremely, extremely helpful to our students, to our mission, to the connections that we want to make sure that we're a part of with the employer community, with the municipal community, and in this particular case, with all of you. So thank you, Vinny, for your leadership and partnership as well. You know, Bridgewater State is usually very, very busy, very active. We have 9,600 students, and they just left. And we graduated 2,200 of them at Gillette Stadium. So normally, as the 10th largest university, you would see students crisscrossing the campus. You'd see probably 30 to 35 little robots that deliver food crisscrossing the campus as well. And by the way, if you come back in the fall and you see one of those robots with a tie, that just means that I've been replaced. And it's actually pretty easy to do, I'm sure. But you know, I wanted to thank you on behalf of our students, faculty, and staff for the work that you do, whether you're a first responder or whether you're an educator. I think we have our work cut out for us. And I love the title, Handle with Care, because what we're seeing with our students is an increasing level of care needed to support our students. So when students come to Bridgewater State, and most of them come from Massachusetts, what we're seeing is they're eager to learn, but they don't come to class necessarily prepared to learn. They don't necessarily do their homework. They're not ready for tests and quizzes the way that they might have been ready prior to the pandemic. There's something different about students post-pandemic than what we saw pre-pandemic. We also see that they're having more difficulty socializing with each other. You know, being apart for 2 years, I think, had an impact. We're seeing mental health issues at a very high level as well. We surveyed our students in the middle of the pandemic. 70% of our students reported a significant mental health concern. 70%. Number one was anxiety. Number two was depression. Now, we're not unique. Those are the same statistics that we saw across the United States of America. And on top of all of that, at least in particular with males, we're seeing almost a maturity stall, you know, and particularly freshmen, men, you know, in terms of how they interact. Something's different about students, and you know, and it's not punitive from our perspective. What we have a care team. And the way we approach this is we have to be even more patient. We have to provide even more support. We have to provide even more wraparound services to help them through. You know, and it's a challenge for the whole country. It's a challenge for every school, every classroom, and every municipality. And the only way to address those issues is through partnership and collaboration. And that's what today is all about. And no one does more in the space of collaboration and partnership and leadership than our district attorney in Plymouth County, Tim Cruz, who is not just a leader in this space and not just a local leader, but a national leader in regards to these types of issues. We're very, very proud to partner with him. We love when he's on campus and he's here to share a few words of wisdom, my friends, the district attorney, Tim Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Vinny. It's always great to come back to Bridgewater State. They have been such a tremendous partner for us over the years as we go and do a variety of different things here. and they always open their doors, they always let us in here, and they're always working together with us collaboratively and also cooperatively. So I appreciate everything that Bridgewater State does, especially being, I'm a West Bridgewater kid. I grew up down the street. I took summer classes here at Bridgewater State, because I had to take summer classes, so they made me come here. And I studied at the Maxwell Library, when I studied for the bar exam. And so it always brings back fond memories to me of coming here and to see what it's turned into over these years. And it's really one of the greater institutions that we have here in the South Shore. It's all about leadership. And I want to thank the president, I want to thank Vinny, and all the other people that worked over the years that make this really what it is. And having said that, I want to welcome everybody here today to our Handle with Care Massachusetts Conference, where we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing here in Plymouth County to try to make sure we can keep our citizens and our children protected, keep them thriving, and healing them with all the issues that are going on in today's world. We do a lot of different things here, and people often ask me, why is the district attorney, why is Sheriff McDonald, who is one of our big partners in many things that we do, why is the sheriff and the DA involved in this stuff? Why are you getting involved in things which really are not your bailiwick? You're not keeping inmates at the jail. You're not prosecuting crimes in the courtrooms. And unfortunately, nowadays, we have to expand our roles to be different. And we have to make sure that we are working together in our communities, especially when you're dealing with kids, high at-risk kids on the front end. I believe that by working together with these children as best as we can keep them out of our criminal justice system. That's okay. We have a lot of dogs here today. I'll talk about them in a moment. Once again, another collaboration amongst ourselves in our police departments, in our fire departments, in our communities. But I believe by making sure that we can work with kids to avoid their potential self-destructive tendencies, making sure that we keep them away from community-harming behaviors, making sure that we can keep them away from drugs and alcohol. As you all know, the criminal justice system is the depository of mental health issues and drug issues. And many times as it ends up in our lap, we are ill-suited to deal with it. Because that's not what we do. We're lawyers. We're prosecutors. We go to court. We need to make sure that we hold people accountable for their crimes when they hurt people in our community. And that's something that we've been doing for years. That's something that I will never apologize for, holding people accountable for their actions who are hurting our kids, hurting our seniors. That's what we do. But how can you make your community better, and how can you make it thrive as best as you can? And and as DA, part of my job is getting resources together, putting together partnerships, working together communicatively, cooperatively, collaborating with different groups and agencies, making our county stronger, healthier, making our county more safe. That's what this job is about now. And although we're just lawyers in the DA's office, and we have a lot of other different groups that we work with, what we can do and what we continue to do is to facilitate partnerships with other groups, people who are smarter than us, people who can help us, get us the information that we can. Because let's face it, our kids, and you guys know it more than anybody, police, schools, fire, first responders, you know it better than anybody. Our kids are being exposed to violence, trauma, crime, abuse at an earlier age than ever. Prolonged exposure to violence and trauma can undermine their ability to focus. It can undermine their ability to behave appropriately, and can undermine their ability to learn in our community. This leads to truancy potentially, expulsion, or worst case scenario, the criminal justice system. Many years back, we were working obviously we work in Brockton, the county of Plymouth, it's city of Brockton, 26 other communities. It's 530,000 people population-wise, it's 800 square miles, it's a really big area. And back in 2008, we were getting calls from the Brockton school system regarding an event that occurred in the city of Brockton about kids who had been in a home and their house was broken into, a multifamily home. Some drug dealers were going to go rip off another group of drug dealers. They went to this multifamily house. They kick in the door at the second floor. They go in there to rob money and drugs. The problem was that the drug dealers were on the third floor. On the second floor was a mom and her 3 kids. And at that time, when they kicked the door and they went in there, they didn't know that at the outset, and they pistol whipped the mother, they pushed the kids around, they threatened them. Police were called, police showed up, the bad guy's gone, nobody caught. And the kids were 12, 10, and 8. And the next day, where did they go? They go to school. And when you're 12 and when you're 10 and when you're 8, you think the whole world knows your business. And when you go to school the next day and you're 12, 10, and 8 and nobody says anything to you, what do you think? Nobody cares. So you tell your friends, you're at the school, you're surviving, because that's what you have to do. Tell one friend, tells another friend what happens. And during that day, it comes back full circle. And what happens is that the story was that this kid has a gun in his locker, which wasn't true, but it was a version of the story as it morphed its way through. So therefore, the police were called, the police showed up, and they found out what really happened. So one of the superintendents called our office and said, listen, is there something that can be put together? Something trying to help these kids who are traumatized in our community. And that was really the precursor of Handle with Care, which really didn't have a name back then. And it really was something that was put together by people in our office, working in our community, working together, and stealing things from other communities, because that's what you do. That's what we have on. You go on our website, take whatever we've got. It's free. Take it, put it in your community, tweak it, twist it, turn it, because every community is different. So that's what we did here. And, you know, it was really amazing watching what happened in our Brockton schools, the pilot program that was there, and you watched within that 3-year time period from 2011 to 2014, dealing with children who were witnessing violence in their community, violence in their homes, kids who are traumatized as a result of that. They watched their officer referrals go down 80% during that time period. They watched a lot of their problems go down 43%. That doesn't just happen. That's because people are doing the great things. We work with great people, great leaders. TLPI, Trauma Learning Policy Initiative, going to our schools and making our schools more trauma sensitive, making sure that we can deal with kids who have adverse childhood experiences or the kids who are potentially going to have them. And as we're proceeded on down that road and we continue to work with these kids, trying to make sure that they understand that people are there to help, so that when we had successful numbers with the violence from the original Handle with Care, then COVID comes. Then drug issues come, because we're dealing with drug-endangered children now. We're dealing with the biggest crisis that we have, still ongoing right now. In 2013, 2014, we noticed here in Plymouth County that our fatal unattended opioid overdose were up. They skyrocketed 50% one year to the next. And what happens when that occurs? We were finding out that the people who were dying, basically their ages were between 18 and 40. What years are those? Those are the years of your parents. So what happens, you have children who now, their parents, unfortunately, are either passing away, they're in treatment, or they're in a worse situation. You have grandparents stepping in. How do you help grandparents helping their grandkids when you're being an old guy like me and all of a sudden you're going to take care of your 5-year-old, your 6-year-old grandkids? Well, you're going to do it because of your 5-year-old and your 6-year-old grandkids. But are you ready for that? How do you help those people and how do you break these cycles? That's what this is about, making sure that we can deal with these issues. Trying to create and make our schools trauma sensitive. You've seen, we mentioned all the dogs that are here today. The many different things that we do in the district attorney's office. One of the things that we've been trying to do, working with our schools, having greeters at schools, so that people can greet these kids coming in. These kids who are facing challenges that we never faced growing up. These kids who need our help. When I talk at schools, many times, when I talk to the school teachers, I say something that I think they already know. Sometimes, the only caring adult in that kid's life is that school teacher. And they understand that. So when these kids come to school hungry, they feel it. When these kids don't have lunch because they don't have any lunch money, they're not on a list, whatever it may be, they feel it. How do you help those kids? So we have our comfort dogs here now. I think we have 10 countywide. And I appreciate a lot of the chiefs that are here and some that have comfort dogs. And for those of you that don't, that are here, talk to Barbara outside. We want to make sure, I'll tell you, the comfort dogs have been an eye-opener. Some school departments didn't want it at the outset. Now they couldn't do without it. What it does, what these beautiful animals do, they bring people together. They do. It works. It calms situations down. It doesn't matter what group you're in. It doesn't matter if you're a jock. It doesn't matter if you're in the band. It doesn't matter if you're in drama. Everybody together. That's what this is going to take. So, you know, dealing with our comfort dogs, we continue forward with that. We continue to have, you know, our drug abuse task force, which has been going on here in our county now since 2015 at the same time. Once again, trying to get in front of these issues. You know, a little while, you're going to hear from Mayor and Police Chief Richard Nigelli and Gina Williams from East Bridgewater. They're both here to talk about how their respective communities implemented Handle with Care. In Brockton, we continue to work with our community partners. You know, Mayor Sullivan's been a great person that we can deal with in the city of Brockton. working with all the various groups in our drug abuse task force, whether they be, clergy, school mentoring groups, legislators, judges, faith-based groups, suicide prevention groups, all these issues that are swirling around. How do you get in front of it? Because it's not just the DA's office. I look now at our numbers here in Plymouth County over the course of the last few years, and I watch and I see that our numbers are down, our homicides are down, our armed robberies are down. Over the course of a period of time, they're down 20% according to the FBI numbers. I see that our shootings have gone down, our people being shot have gone down. And I look at the overall picture of what goes on, because you know what? Any one of these events is a tragedy. Any one of these events, when somebody gets hurt, somebody gets shot, somebody gets killed, it's a ripple effect. It's a pebble in a pond. You have to deal with that effect, that ripple effect. How do you get in front of that? How do you work together so that our county here in Plymouth County ends up to being the 99th percentile of safest counties in America? That's because of you. That's because of all of us working together. That's why this works. And that's why having meetings like this are important. At the same time, when we're doing all these different things, what we have watched as our crime numbers go down is our incarceration rates have gone down. Massachusetts is 50 out of 50 incarceration rates-wise. That's the one time it's good to come in last. Because we have less people in jail, but you know who's in jail? The people who belong to be. The people that small group of people who bring guns, bring violence, bring drugs, bring fentanyl, bring carfentanil, bring xylazine, bring all these different drugs into our community without hurting people and killing people. That's what this is about. Front end and back end. Helping people in the front end, helping people in the back end with our reentry programs. And Sheriff McDonald has really been a leader on that here in our community. Making sure we can help the individuals when they come back, because 99.9% of the individuals doing time are coming back. How do you get them education help? How do you get them anger management issues? How do you help them become better parents? How do you do that? As we go forward, and deal with the many different issues that are out there. Like I said, whether through the task force, whether through Plymouth County Outreach, which is, once again, having all 27 of our communities and Bridgewater State University getting involved so that there's a non-fatal overdose in our county. Within 12 to 24 hours, there will be a recovery coach and a plainclothes police officer showing up, bringing information, overcoming the issues that are out there, because a lot of people, the stigma of opioid addiction remains a problem. I'm on a lot of boards, but one of the boards I'm on, I'm an executive board of the National DAs Association, and I talk to other DAs from across the country. And they ask me, can I tell them what's going on at PCO? I tell them what's going on in our county. They go, how do you get 27 police chiefs to agree that today's Friday? Never mind, get them on board. I go, it's strong leadership in our police chiefs. And our police chiefs understand what we need to do. They understand the help that's there and the challenge that they're facing as they go out on their regular calls and they're dealing with all these issues that police officers sometimes are just not trained to do, the mental health issues. They'll tell you that they have more mental health calls than they have drug overdose calls. So we have to make sure we can help. And we have to make sure, once again, that we continue to work with our children. Our Children's Advocacy Center, which we've been doing here in Plymouth County for the last 25 years or so. Working together, it's an interagency, multidisciplinary partnership dedicated to minimizing trauma in children and families. Last year alone, there were more than 1,000 kids who reported sexual or physical abuse in Plymouth County. We had 162 cases last year of CSEC, commercial sexual exploitation of children, in Plymouth County. It happens here. How do you stop that? How do you stop the cycles of domestic violence? How do you stop the cycles of child abuse? How do you help the kids when they need it the most? You get them services now, before they get into it. By breaking these cycles, what we've seen, I believe, is breaking these cycles, we've seen our numbers go down. Because you keep these kids out of the system. That's what works. And of the things that our office do, we have so many great people that work in the DA's office, and it's certainly not me. Like I joke, I'm just the pretty face. Well, I'm a face. But the educational programs that we do, I put them up against anybody. Whether they're going to schools talking about cyber safety, mock trials, prom safety, anti-bullying dating, teen dating violence training programs, all those things. And this summer, For the first time in 3 years, our drug education camp is coming back. COVID tried to knock it out. But this summer at Whitman Hanson High School, not too far away, there'll be probably 600 campers from all across our county. They'll be going to that camp for a week of free fun, to have Olympic Games put together from our police officers who will be there. 600 kids. The graduation day, when we do the graduation on that Friday of that week, it's a room bigger than this, and it's standing room only. And I watch that, and I see that the things that we're doing in our county by working together have made a big difference. So that's really what we do, and that's what this is about today. I know I've gone off on a tangent, and I have a propensity to do that, and I apologize. But the work that you do is important. The work of the criminal justice system is important. And it can only be done with everybody pulling together. And I know that the jobs that many of you have are incredibly thankless. And you work every day to try to do the best that you can. And I know many, like I said, people don't say thank you to you. Let me say thank you on their behalf. On behalf of the kids that need your help, on behalf of the seniors that need your voice, on behalf of the people in our community who don't know where to go, they go to you. You make the difference. You make the challenges go away. You help them. Like I tell the young lawyers in our office, there are times when people are going to come to you and they're going to be with you at the worst time in their lives, and they're looking to you to help them. You tell them the truth. You take them through the system as best as you can. And when you do, you have a better community. You have a better county. So having said all that, if you need to work with us in the DA's office, we're a phone call away. We have many good people that work hard every day. We have, over the years since I've been DA, we've brought in almost $25 million that we put all back into our county. If you need our help, we'll stand there. And we'll work with you. And we will continue to make a difference here. So I thank you all for coming today. I thank you for listening to me.